Okay, I'm moving to the Schumann Quintet Scherzo movement, the second trio. And in particular, not the place where I go in this peculiar A-flat minor section, but rather where I start playing a whole bunch of 16th notes. And from rehearsal 5, or E, well, from 4 measures after that, for a long period of time, I play 16th notes all the time. There's some places where I get to breathe a sigh of relief later on, where I just have to do that and I actually have rest. But there are almost no rests up till that point. So I have to have my wits about me, I have to have the figuration well understood, I have to have the fingering and the gestures well understood. Yesterday wasn't bad, wasn't great in my rehearsal, so let me improve. So I'm coming out of all of this accompanimental figure. I just want to make sure there's no shock to my system, visually, emotionally, whatever. I have to know where I'm going because there is really no time to take it in visually just at that moment and then do it. I have to know while I'm busily playing a bunch of E major chords that my left hand is going to go to a C sharp minor chord. Not only that, but I'm going 2, 4, 5. You could go 2, 3, 5. I go 2, 4. Oops. My right hand, meanwhile, does continuous stuff. But luckily, it only goes between a little G sharp triller and a C sharp one. So. Left hand can find its way by feel. I suppose my right hand could in a pinch, but not bad. Again, this is, my right hand is going to start playing 16th notes. It's going to be doubled with the violin and the viola, so I want to make sure, even though it says fortissimo, it's a little bit crazy indication, that I'm not overplaying. Also, if I were overplaying and thinking too vertically or too articulatively, I would risk making it unplayable for myself. First the fluency, then whatever degree of intensity the situation warrants. So anyway, the big thing about this is getting used to it. I'll have a page turner, but this transition is luckily not uncomfortable. But I can easily make it uncomfortable by not remembering that. So I will try to simulate page turning too. I'm going to leave out this. So I have to have that. Compared to the extreme chromatic contortions of the first movement development, this is rather simpler. They're faster, these notes, but they're much more predictable, full of these little neighboring tone shakes, followed by a slightly scalar element. So they stay nicely in the chord. So a reminder. When both hands are leaping, it helps that they're within reach. But if I needed to concentrate on one or the other, probably going to be the left hand, which means I need to know my right hand rather well. some other of you might, so I do. That extra note is not hugely complicated, but it is more complicated. Visual guidance too, to avoid squishing. Not that I wouldn't be right around those keys, but I might get a few other keys as a bonus. I'm doubled with second violin. I have a sting on the first note. The first violin actually has the melodic content. I double with him initially, but then I fill in a harmony instead. So I want that to show, but not a whole lot. Whoops. This is just plain cumbersome. The interference of the hands with one another. To here. I just have to get used to that. And then the fairly comfortable white note position, followed by a white note second finger, with black note short fingers. Those are some of the things my body doesn't like at all. So I have to be careful to play on the fat of the white note. A little more out on the key. Luckily, it's the left hand that provides melodic content. Okay, so I can't be shocked by where Schumann starts anew. They're not necessarily connected or predictable, let me put it this way. Okay, here we finish on a flat minor, and now suddenly, here, so he pulls that out of a hat. What on earth? Oh, okay. It's always funny when you look at what looks like a melodic line, and it makes no sense to. And then I look up at the first violin and see what's going on there. So I will add some big chevrons indicating that the lead voice is in the first violin, so my eyes will catch that quickly. So anyway. Now, if I just play that in isolation, that's some bizarre writing. There's no resolution, there's no indication of what's going on. But, well, just the sheer fact that he's got a melodic line starting on C, with a D flat in the right hand. It's going to clarify, but holy mackerel. Let's see. I don't know why I wasn't shocked before. I should have been. I think one of the reasons is because this is such a sound effect. If the chromatic in the left hand and in the second takes precedence, then the noodliness of this isn't distracting. So that's better. So it's right there too. Luckily, the third chord this time is comfortable. It's all black notes. Whoops. Okay, so here's where the real business starts. For pianists anyway, and the reason is, here's where I have to carry that figuration. The strings are adding commentary, including melodic snippets, but I carry the phrases. I'm the only continuous voice, and I am taking over for what the first violin and viola and the piano were doing at rehearsal number 6, and also F. So now we're at rehearsal number 8.5, or 8. Yes, 8. Okay, just 2 of those statements, 2 of those phrases, and then a moment of relief. So. It's interesting how he gradually intensifies. He's going to ask for a crescendo, but he's also intensifying the accompanimental figure, which will become what I do. In other words, that accompanimental figure will be then shared by both hands. So. Getting that far down on the keyboard on a white note requires a certain amount of thought. If it were a black note, I could go anywhere on the keyboard on a black note, radiating outward from my body. Black notes are easy to get to, but a white note of that sort, not so. So I have to be hyper aware of the radius or spoke I'm using from the center of my wheel. My hub. Easier, moderate. So. Now, I'm choosing to go to third finger in the right hand, so it's not right under my hand. If I wanted to look at both hands, I really could, because my left hand has plenty of time to get where it's going. So if I needed to look down there, I could look left, then look right, but there's enough time, whoops, to not look, but to think. Here I am on E, here I am on F sharp, here I am on B. That means that frees me to look to my right hand if I need to. I just looked, did you see? Whoops. So place my left hand, place it again, and because of the significant twisting here, either way I finger it, even though it's not that hard a chord to find, for accuracy I may look there. Okay, let me go back. Almost. Sting. I don't know, I have to choose. I think I may just sting the first note in the right hand so that my double chromatic with the second sounds similar to his. And so the wonderful ugliness of the D flat subsides quickly. especially because it's starting a new section. When you're in the midst of it, when the conveyor belt continues as you wish, it's much easier to get going. It's like the beginning of a piece. That there's a shock to the system in starting a piece, what I call the beginning of piece syndrome. And once you're immersed in it, a lot of the physical language, the mental processes start to become familiar again. So when you have a fresh passage with different figuration, it's important to know how to negotiate that. What you think, what you feel, so that it doesn't feel foreign. So if I'm here, that's the first big challenge, is that leap. So I have to know here that I can think about that A, and then the big leap in the left hand. So this is a good spot to start from. I didn't tell myself to get down to that B. So I'm going to start from here now. B. Oops. There's an awful lot of demands. You just can't think that fast. So you have to have thought of much larger chunks and select the things that you need to tell yourself. Those are the things that tend to fall apart in, say, in rehearsal or under fire, is those things that have been incompletely considered and aren't automatic enough or are not automatic in the appropriate fashion. So I did not tell myself B. Or, am I on B? Yes. B again, okay. E, okay, so there's about 4 or 5 decisions. This one, the B, the replacement, the left hand on B here, and B minor. So, B. But what I didn't get when I went to B that time is I didn't also negotiate B minor. So, B, here it comes, let's see. Slow it up a bit. B7th as it is. B minor. I know there's a few mistakes. But I liked my process, so I have to know when to pat myself on the back. That's really important. You have to decide what's a victory or some kind of a success. And sometimes it's an incomplete victory, but you cannot. Perfectionism, I think, is really a dysfunction. You can get in your own way by demanding perfectionism all the time. You have to know what represents a breakthrough, even if it's little and even if it's partial. So, yay me. Okay, you can hear some of my mental breaths. Time or a better place. That's just plain hard for me because it's so hard to grab those notes of that chord, those keys. How about that? Approach. Sting. I think I like my idea of stinging just the right hand. How do I know I'm right? I do not know I'm right. It's a selective decision. Maybe my partners won't like it, but I rather suspect they might. Because it makes very little sense to me that the exact same figure in the second violin is done without an additional inflection. decision, but not in a timely fashion. Here. All right. I'm gonna be very goofy casual because I want to sort of try to set the mood. B minor, yeah. That so-called, what I call a cocktail pianist attitude. That, hey, I can do anything all at the same time. Yep, I can talk to you, I can look out the window. No, I can't. Too much jumping around. So in a pinch, I could survive that. I would rather it be more crystalline. Yes. Okay, it's starting to cook. I'm going to come back to it later, but I like what's happening here. Okay, I'll make the same remark to myself. I have the same partner, second violin. Okay, I told myself a different fingering on the bottom, a fourth finger, and I should pay attention. The other thing I needed to do was shift my attention there just a little bit earlier. It's too late if I'm shifting my attention right at the moment I need to be doing something there. So, shift to here. Here I have plenty of time. Here. Do that again. And just a reinforcement, this one is 5. 5. Staying right. Whoa. And it continues. Now we're going to, soon my partners are going to join me and we'll all have a merry romp down to the bottom. Let's see. So this feels a little different under my hand. I've noted that before. Normally I have altered the fingering just this once. I'm not 100% convinced that doing that is smart because it's that one time. I did it for a certain degree of comfort. The question is that comfort worth the distinct difference in physical personality? I must say, when I'm playing the familiar, my body just says, oh yeah, I remember you. Light enough. It says fortissimo and everyone else is playing, but I have to execute those with ease. I don't really need to look, but you know. Clarify what I'm doing, and that one with the exception. Oops. The rhythm is simpler here. I have this strange twisted hand position. So I have to be aware of it. It's not going away. I'll go 3. It'll certainly guard against that extreme twist. Do I have time? I'm going to consider that. It might be just a compromise ticket. You know what? I'm going to go back to the standard fingering for the non-standard situation. It's worth it. I mean, every other time I'm using the same fingering. It makes no sense right now, present day me, to do something special just for that little moment. Now I have to get used to it. Wow, am I ever torn? The moment I committed to changing my mind, I changed my mind. Go figure. It's all about hand tilt. Hand tilts this way, out to the white notes. Very interesting choreography. I changed my mind just for my hand, and with the time I have, that fifth finger just makes that chord so much easier to get. Fifth finger, yep. And I've made my exception fingering what my body is used to. Is really interesting to me. I've gone back and forth, and the fingering I wrote down, which I'd settled on after oscillating back and forth for a while, is the one currently I like, because what motivated me to do those, to find this chord without concern for fitting my fat finger into the white neck, and then the relative comfort of playing 4-3-2-1 here, instead of turning my hand over, this one time seems to make enough of a difference. Yeah, okay. I really need to review the A theme of this piece. There's enough going on that needs my attention. First of all, reminding myself of the right fingering and the visions I've decided upon, and also not to overplay. There's other people except for the first. I'm well known. Now with the viola, now with the second, with the two violins. Then alone, and I worry about the octave. I have a good octave technique, but it's very exposed, and then it goes somewhere else, so I have to know where it goes. because I've had all these, and I've discussed this before with you, motions to these black notes here. Then I have to have one more come out on the D. But if I played it, my body just, oh my, I like that. I hope there's time for me to, oh, lovely. My left hand plays 5, 3 and 1, plays the lower, this beat, the third finger here, and the right hand right under the hand. Then it's even easier. That's it. Nice. Let's see if that. Oops. I'm going to circle that A natural. I've got to be aware of the B flattiness of this scale. This doesn't matter so much. Because I'm able to use a more continuous gesture getting to the F. A flat on the E flat scale. Yeah, that's going to take some getting used to, but I like it. And then continues. It's something interesting about ends. That it's very satisfying to have your end, the end of a passage, sound good. It's also very satisfying to know that you're heading toward the end of something that feels good for you, not just sounds good for your audience. So, if I know that what I'm looking forward to at the end is inviting and rewarding to me, it's more likely to make the whole of the passage better. So, go to here and then your B. And then your B. Aha! Okay, let's see. It's obviously not automatic. I still could change my mind, but you know, I hope I don't because I like it too much. To play the last octave with fourth finger, 1-4. The third is right there. That's easier to get to. So 4, 4, 4, 3. I don't want anyone to hear these groups, but I want to think them. one motion, coming out and going in. It's not. I'm reversing direction. If I can do this and start fresh instantly, that's, who knows what that is? You know, it's a mental process, it's a psychological attitude. It immediately impacts the physical capability. It's one of those things I like to say when I'm searching for an explanation or something. I could spend endless amounts of time searching for that explanation, but if something mysterious works well for me, I'm just as happy waving my hands and saying, think that way, it works. And then here, and then here, and then here. And then it also, mathematically, I guess, gets me into the groove of the threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Which I think for my body and my mind both, the consistency is good. To here, and then here, and then here, and then here. All right, getting somewhere. I do these adequately, but not yet in a trustworthy fashion. I have written out what I think is a decent fingering. I haven't paid any attention to it. I certainly didn't yesterday. During rehearsal. Well, what it means in my left hand possibly is 1, 2, and then 2 again, 1. And because it's coming off a long note, which means a note where I can let it go, it shouldn't be a big deal, but I have to be aware of it because it's odd. And then same too with my desire to shift to second finger, from second to second. It's a fingering that works very well. Yes. It's also doubled. The second violin is doing all that stuff too. So if I'm in any way heavy or effortful, it's not going to fit in. Aha. I had a good solution, I just didn't invoke it. Move, move. Right hand moves, then left hand moves. I could go 1, 2, 3, but I like better what I did on the previous one where I needed to go to the second. I'm going to go to the second, I think, again. 2. Oh yeah, that's nice. I haven't indicated shake fingerings. I rather assume I meant 1, 3, 2, 3, and I need a 2 on this A. Last night I had a certain malaise, a certain feeling that I didn't know what I was doing. I think probably because I didn't know what I was doing. And that's not just through sheer ignorance. I wasn't carrying with me any sense of a solution. That extra second finger in the left hand makes me nervous. So it's gone. It doesn't matter enough. easily unlikely, and precisely, and certainly not overwhelmed by these repeated octaves, chords. And I found myself being stuck by these ties. What I needed before, a 2 on G, so. I need a 3 on C. Get me comfortably to B flat. Let me compare this. With B flat, everything changes. And here, well, here it's different. 3. So let me see. It's such an odd feeling to put the tie and the inflection in the left hand where there's a pickup in the right hand. It's the sort of thing that if I don't ingrain, if it doesn't become automatic, I will always be fighting it because my awareness of what's usual will try to fix it, and it shouldn't be fixed. Yeah, for me it's just awareness. Interestingly, I'm finding a series of shiftings to 3 and then 3 shakes to be very nice here. I've written in a fingering. See if it works. Yep. Just a 2-note group at the top. Signals the end. And I didn't do it. I'm the only one going down. Everyone else is going up. So I need to show that.